Varian, multi-success or multi-failure? He was one of the flagship heroes from last year's BlizzCon, the first multi-class hero ever revealed for the game, and also the only one that's ever been released. And with this year's BlizzCon, we've had updates on Blizzard's plan for the role system, and also kind of a bit of a hint into the future of multi-class, if you can call it that. So I want to talk about that in this video. Where did Blizzard go right with Varian? What worked out? And then also the things that went wrong and the problems at multi-class. And also then what I think multi-class, what I think the future of multi-class and the future of Varian could be in the game. Alright, so to start things off, let me talk a bit about Varian, then we'll talk a bit about multi-class and the announcements at this year's BlizzCon for the role reworks. I'm going to mention the good stuff first, because there is some good stuff with Varian, and then I think I have probably more to say on the bad stuff. So things I think they did well with Varian. Although the multi-class thing itself is problematic, it was cool to have the 3 different heroic choices, which actually quite radically changed how the hero plays, despite not changing any of the other talent tiers, apart from level 20, but not really changing the other talent tiers, not really changing the base kit all that much. It was quite interesting to see just how these little tweaks and these passive benefits and maybe an extra ability here and there like Taunt or Colossus Smash, how those just small things could just quite radically change the playstyle. So I think that was cool. And it was also a nice idea tying into World of Warcraft, where you have those 3 warrior specs, Protection, Fury, and Arms, that the 3 specs of Varian in the game. We'll come back to the 3 specs idea in a second, but the 3 specs did correspond to that. I thought it was pretty cool. Now, they might not have exactly played the same in a flavorful way similar to those specs, but it was close enough, and I think that was quite a nice idea. For me, probably the best thing about Varian is a pretty small thing, which is the banner talent tier. It's at level 16 now. It started at level 13. So this is, you get to choose between one of 3 banners. It's completely unique to Varian. No one else has anything quite like it. So a dedicated talent tier to this extra ability, the banner. For me, it's like the perfect talent tier, right? Because it's an extra ability, it's extra complexity, but it's, I think, quite engaging complexity, because it's not super hard mechanically to use, but it's that like cool little decision-making button that you have to press. Okay, do I put my banner down now? Where's the best place to put it? That's it. It's a simple decision, but there's actually quite a lot of depth to it, and it's very fulfilling and engaging when you do it properly. And then the banner's also down. The enemy team's room for counterplay. I think it works fantastically. You've got the 3 different banner types, all themed after, you know, some of the big alliance races and capitals. And they each have a really good benefit, which are very competitive. You know, armor, bonus ability damage, movement speed. These things are all really good. And you can totally choose and mix it up, depending on what sort of comps you've got going. You can change it up, and then also the different banners, you're going to use them in different ways. Although they're functionally very similar, you might use them at slightly different timings. I just think it's super interesting, and they did an amazing job with the banners. I'd like to see more talent tiers like this in the future. Okay, but let's talk about the bad. Let's talk about the bad with multi-class, okay, with Varian. Now, the first thing, because I was researching this, and I found this just absolutely insane, but when you look back at I presume from BlizzCon, I saw it on the developer comments on the patch notes for Varian, because he got a lot of changes. But in the early stages of Varian, they didn't intend for him to have 3 different specs. No. They wanted this guy to have 6 distinct specs and 6 distinct playstyles. And I mean, sitting now, here, today, you're kind of going, Varian is very cookie cutter as a hero. Didn't quite work out. And, you know, the benefit of hindsight, you're kind of looking at it and going, wow, a multi-class hero going between 2 different roles, and certainly with 3 different specs, that's already a huge undertaking. Going for 6 is absolutely crazy. What do they mean by 6? What they meant by 6 was you got the 3 different heroics, which radically change your gameplay, and then you've got his 2 level 4 talents, which are intended to, and which do, I suppose, radically change his play style as well. And the idea was you could have any 3 heroics with any 2 of the level 4, so you've got 6 specs in total. This turned out to be hugely problematic. I mean, that level 4 talent tier has been a disaster. First of all, Warbringer used to be a stun. on your charge, and that was completely overpowered. They had to remove the stun, and they've put it through a whole bunch of different things. You guys have been playing for a while will know that. I mean, it used to lower the cooldown, then it was a slow, it increased the slow, then they got rid of the increased slow as well. There was the stun, they had to remove the stun. I think they nerfed the stun, then they removed the stun. It's given different types of cooldown reduction. The baseline cooldown of charge has changed all over the place. It's been everywhere, that Warbringer talent. But at the start, it was crazy OP. It was always taken. No one took Shield Wall. Then they buffed the other parry talents. They nerfed Warbringer radically. And then suddenly Shield Wall became overpowered. And now it's still the case that Shield Wall is the thing that's taken in something like 95% of the games. And Warbringer sees almost no play. Though they have, again, gone back, and after they buffed the parry talents, they've gone back and they've now nerfed the parry talents again because it's a bit too overpowered. But this is the problem. They went in with a 6. It's crazy, isn't it? 6 specs. That's just mental. It's just way too overambitious, way overreaching, and it hasn't worked at all. I think it's really interesting as well when you look at Varian across the different skill levels, in that at high levels of play, it's basically taunt Varian 70-80% of the time. Then you get the occasional game with the other two, but very rare. At lower levels, there's a much... you see the Fury Varian, Twin Blades Varian much more often. Colossus Smash Varian sees minor play at all levels. So you've got this... I think that's one interesting thing to look at, is that in terms of multi-class, perhaps one of the cool things about multi-class is the idea of flexibility. But the flexibility's been pretty limited. It's turned into, at top levels, it's cookie cutter at the moment, parry build taunt. At lower levels, it's, I'm not sure what talents they take, but you know, like it's mostly Twin Blades at lower levels. So there isn't even all that much flexibility. It's fairly cookie cutter even still. So that didn't quite work out. The biggest problem for Varian, though, I think, was the matchmaking issue, which is in Quick Match. Well, just generally in Heroes of the Storm. Having a support hero gives your team a massive advantage if the enemy team does not have one. Having a warrior, having a tank, gives your team a large advantage if the enemy team doesn't have one. Not as big as support, but still pretty big. Here's the problem with Varian. He can be a warrior or an assassin. You go into Quick Match. How do you match up Varian? Let's say it's, you know, a support 4 assassins versus support 3 assassins and Varian. If that Varian goes assassin, sure, it's evenly balanced in terms of roles. If he multi-classes into warrior, that team has an advantage because they've got a warrior. It's just how the game works. It's just how it's designed. So that's a big problem. If you match the Varian against a warrior, so it's a warrior, 3 assassins and a support against a support, 3 assassins and Varian, and that Varian goes assassin build, he puts his team in a disadvantage because now they don't have the warrior, they don't have the tank to match the enemy team's one. So that's a big problem for quick match matchmaking. What do you do? How do you fit Varian in here? What's the solution? The solution is kind of encompassed in the upcoming role changes as well, which is Blizzard had to step in and change quick matchmaking, the rules and the roles in it substantially behind the scenes. It's going to come to us now in a more visible way, probably in the next few months. But they split, for example, warriors into tanks and bruisers. So they're tanks, they're big, they're hard to kill, they've got lots of crowd control. Then bruisers are like Sonya, and Variant's actually included here as well. They're still quite tanky, they don't have as much CC, but they do more damage. So I presume Artanis is in there as well. Maybe Dahak is in there, I'm not sure about that, because I think they wanted him to be a tank. But yeah, so they put Varian into the bruiser role. So he's basically not treated as multi-class at all for the purposes of the matchmaker. He's just treated as a bruiser, and it will try to match you up as the Variant against other bruisers. So you'll be matched against a Sonya or, you know, an Artanis or something like that. So the enemy team does have a similarly sort of tanky front line. And that kind of brings us to what they were talking about at BlizzCon this year, and just the lack of any other multi-class heroes. Now, Alexstrasza was teased. Some of the leaks that people were talking about, Alexstrasza was purported to be a multi-class hero. And at BlizzCon, this is somewhat true, because when they revealed Alexstrasza, they had Hanzo, Assassin, Alexstrasza, Healer / Support, because they're splitting up the roles. There's going to be 7 roles. That was confirmed by the devs. It's the roles that are built into the when you look at the hero descriptions in game now. Pretty sure this is what it's going to be. It's going to be those. So there's going to be 7. It'll be things like tank, bruiser, I think assassin, I think mage, summoner might be the other 2. I'm not 100% sure about those. I forgot to check before recording. And then you've got healer and support. So support heroes are like Medivh or Tassadar or probably Zarya, I would assume, where they kind of shield. They don't directly heal very much. And then healers are like, like Lily or something like that, where they do a lot of direct healing. So Alexstrasza was support / healer, so she can spec into lots of healing, but she can also spec into being more supportive, kind of controlling the battlefield maybe more so as her dragon, doing damage, slowing down the enemy heroes, that sort of stuff. So I feel like that's probably the future for multiclass, and that's got to be the future for multiclass in the game, because in this new role system, Varian is probably just going to be tagged as, for the most part, a bruiser, maybe a tank / bruiser, maybe throw an assassin there as well, but either way, it seems to me like Blizzard is going to move towards a much looser role definition, where you have a hero like Alexstrasza who's a healer / support, but you're not multi-classing as dramatically as Varian into that. It's going to be a lighter touch. You could imagine the same sort of thing they could apply with Kharazim, for example. He'd probably be like a healer / maybe support, or healer / assassin perhaps, in terms of he can do damage, but it's not a strict thing where you opt into one role or the other. It's just you tailor it somewhat with your talents, but it's not that extreme. I think they kind of have to do that to make quick matchmaking actually work and to not break it completely, because when you have these high impact roles that have a tangible win rate over many games, statistically they have a tangible effect on win rate when you've got one role or the other. You can't really have a hero that chooses between the two, or it disadvantages teams or gives them an unfair advantage either way. Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen with Varian. I think that the multi-class thing was a bit of a failure. I really do. I think it had some nice things about it, but it was way too ambitious. The 6 specs was too ambitious. Even multi-classing between the roles, as in the old role system was flawed. I think it's too extreme, it's too stark, which doesn't represent how the game's actually played. I think with the new role system, this is what I'm expecting. With the new role system, with 7 roles, we'll see a lot of heroes that are kind of loosely grouped under perhaps even multiple of these roles, and just kind of representing how they can be played and built with their talents, but it's not a strict choice, so that it doesn't break matchmaking. And I don't think we're going to see another hero like Varian again. I just think it's just too messy. It doesn't work. We'll see something, again, more along the lines of the Kharazim choice, more along the lines of the Sonya choice, Berserker versus Leap. Leap is more tanky, Berserker is more bruisery, but that's not an overwhelming choice. She still plays relatively similarly, she still fits the same role in the team. It just slightly adjusts that gameplay to the needs of the comp, but it's not a strict division, and that's what I think. Guys, what do you think? Did you think that Varian was a good hero? Do you like him? Do you dislike him? Did the multi-class thing work well? Do you actually want to see more multi-class heroes like Varian? Or do you think they should move towards kind of what I'm suggesting, a much looser system? Yeah, just let me know in the comments what you would like to see. That's kind of what I have to say about Varian. Tried to keep this one a bit shorter, so hopefully you enjoy. Give a thumbs up if you did. See you all next time for more Heroes of the Storm. Bye-bye.